I'm a native New Mexican. Went to college here at Las Cruces. Went to law school at UNM, and I've lived basically in the southeast quadrant of New Mexico my entire life. I've been practicing law since 1995. First 7 years I did some criminal defense and some civil work as well, some domestic relations, breach of contract work, some insurance defense, civil defense. And then ultimately in 2001 I ended up getting a job here at the District Attorney's Office as a state prosecutor. And truth be known, that job really became my home. I found my home after 7 years of practice. So for the last 9 years I've been serving the public here in Doña Ana County, and I've genuinely enjoyed my job. I have a fantastic career. I really love what I do. I've handled all types of cases here locally, from misdemeanor DWI and domestic violence all the way to murder, robbery, rape, complex white-collar crimes, fraud, embezzlement, you name it, I've done it. And genuinely, I love my job. I sleep well at night, and I'm happy to be doing it. If I felt that things were going as well as they could be in the courts, I wouldn't be motivated to run. I'd be happy to keep on doing what I'm doing, but I feel that there's a real need here in Doña Ana County. And I'm running a campaign for district court judge to meet the need that I strongly believe is the greatest need that our courts face here in Doña Ana County, and that is in the processing of criminal cases. And I say that for two reasons. One, there are 8 district court judges here in Doña Ana County. 5 of them are handling the civil work, and 3 are handling the criminal work. The 3 who are handling the criminal work are struggling to keep up with their caseloads. I know courts everywhere are low on resources. I think that's a uniform across the board. But I think that the greatest need is in the criminal cases. Those 3 are struggling. And one of the consequences that has is there's a difference between if you don't get a criminal case tried in time, if you don't get it to court in time, versus when you don't get a civil case to court in time. If you don't get a criminal case tried in time, people have a constitutional right to a speedy trial. And if they don't get it, then the case gets dismissed. And that rarely results in justice. Civil case, the consequence is people have to wait a little bit longer. That's unfortunate. I absolutely hope it doesn't happen. You do everything you can to make it not happen, but the case doesn't automatically get dismissed. The consequences aren't so great. That's part of it. And then also there's the decision making regarding in some of the criminal cases. And as a judicial candidate, of course, I can't say I'm the rule in any particular case. But there are some cases that you know about, that Ashley here writes about, that the type of cases that people find compelling and motivating and disturbing. It's my belief that convicted, hardened criminals too often receive too lenient sentences in Doña Ana County. I believe that repeat DWI offenders receive too lenient sentences. They're let back out on the street too often. I'm a father of a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. I'm a citizen in this county. I'm a person of common sense. And I believe courts have an obligation to uphold people's constitutional rights to ensure a fair trial. But some people, not all, but some people need to be taken away from the rest of us so that the community stays safe. I believe very strongly in that, and that's why I'm running as well.
You know, I'm District Judge DistrictJudgeArrietaWellborn. I've been on the bench since the end of February last year when I was appointed. This is my first general election that I've ever run. And when I went from being a lawyer to being a judge, I basically took a drastic cut in pay. People might ask me why you're doing that for. It's because I've done everything that I could as a lawyer, and I now feel that I can do my very best in the public service area, and that's where I want to contribute. Having said that, my background is I was born and raised in southern New Mexico, born in Deming, raised actually in this valley. I've been educated in public schools here. I graduated from Doña Ana Community College with a degree in radiology technology, so I have a medical degree. I have a bachelor's in business administration and minor in economics here at New Mexico State. I went from there to the University of Michigan School of Law, and back then it was ranked #3 in the country. I went out there with the idea that I was never going to come back to New Mexico, and 3 cold winters later I decided I needed to come back home, and I haven't regretted regretted it since. I actually came back to the New Mexico Court of Appeals, where I clerked for a year from 1984 to 1985. I got to see how decisions were made by judges, how the issues were resolved, and that's what led to my interest in becoming a judge eventually. I practiced for 16 years in insurance defense. The last 9 years I did plaintiffs' civil litigation. And so I've got, at this point, with my year and a half of being a judge, 27 years of experience in the civil area. That being said, I'd like to briefly address, and with all due respect, the issues in this case. And there's really one issue. The issue is experience. The division that I'm in is a civil division. It's only civil. There's no juvenile cases. There's no criminal cases. And it's a very busy division. If you look at the numbers, since 1996 when numbers were being kept, the civil divisions in our courts have comprised 68% of the workload. Only 32% of it has been criminal and juvenile cases. And although we are all busy, what the numbers indicate is that the busiest divisions are the civil division and the domestic relations division. Right now, I'm the newest judge, but I have the fourth largest caseload. I have close to 1,100 cases at this point. Every week I'm receiving an average of 50 cases or more. You all are aware of the foreclosure rates. We have a higher than the national average foreclosure rate here in Diana County. We also have a tremendous caseload of debt collections. My experience, the fact that I've had a business experience, I've been in business, the fact that I've got a medical background, that I've done civil law for 27 years is really helpful in this area.
Okay.
You can't go through a 15-page mortgage, single space, and understand it coming from a non-civil experience. And that's what I have to offer. Well, I mean, that's a good question. It's difficult to answer because it depends on the case. It depends on the issue. Sometimes the issue calls for literal interpretation of the statute or whatever it is that I'm dealing with. Sometimes you deal with some gray area and you have to go beyond that and try and figure out what was the intent of the legislature here, what was the intent of this law. So I can't give you a hard answer, but my philosophy is that I give each and every litigant their day in court. It's the right to be heard. I mean, it's one thing to make a decision, make sure that it's the correct decision. But it's also very important to me to make sure that whoever comes before me is not only heard, but that they are told or informed of why I made the decision in the way that I did. When I do that, quite often the litigants will say thank you to me, and then I know I've done my job. I don't want people walking away saying, what just happened?
On a broad standpoint, the government was created of, by, and for the people. The judicial system, the branch of government, is created of, by, and for the people. I believe the courts exist to serve the people. Courts have an obligation to serve the people and to protect the communities they serve. With regard to strict constructionist versus an interpretation of the law, I think that question is much more decisive. It's much more a factor if you're looking at an appellate court judge or Supreme Court judge. At the appellate level, Supreme Court level, they have a much greater opportunity to affect policy when they make their decisions. They'll make a decision and the lower courts have to follow that. At the trial court level, this is a trial court, the district court is a trial court, there's very little of that. The courts have the law, they have a case before them, and their obligation is to fairly decide the facts or make sure there's a fair determination of the facts. You will have due process and apply the law that exists. Trial court judges don't have the opportunity and shouldn't take many opportunities to make their own decision as to what a particular law means.